The Dark Side of Hollywood by the Prowler. The Cigarette. We once again embark into the night, leaving the bright lights of Tinseltown and finding ourselves enveloped by the dark. Not just any darkness, however, a darkness that snuffs out promise and extinguishes dreams. A darkness that can only be found on the dark side of Hollywood. As we traverse the dangers in the dark, we find our latest subject, Jack Kierney, star of stage and screen, looking to unwind the night inside his West Hollywood home. The Tony Award-winning, two-time Emmy-nominated actor sits on his couch in complete seclusion, perhaps feeling lonely and nostalgic. He calls up his ex-wife, actress Sherilyn Johns. Their divorce has not yet been a year to this point. Sometime later, after the tragedy of this night, Sherilyn will say in an interview that Jack wanted to return to her very badly, and that she regretted not giving him another chance, for he was the true love of her life. Reasons for their divorce are well documented, not only from Sherilyn herself, but also from his son, actor-musician Donald Kierney, claiming a mental deterioration the last few years, leading to the tragic night in question. Diagnosed as being bipolar, mixed with excessive alcoholism, did not make matters any easier. There were reports from neighbors of the actor watering his front lawn completely nude on several occasions. A similar story was also reported from his ex-wife, Ms. Johns, that while they were still married, she had walked into the living room one day, and he was sitting in the corner of the room, completely nude and reading a book. She looked at him in shock and told him he needed to get dressed because they were running late for a show they were to perform in. She said he just looked up from his book and smiled at her, claiming he thought he was Jesus Christ. His behavior was becoming erratic, and it led to him being admitted to a psychiatric ward for 2 days, and not long after, a divorce from his wife. He continued to get steady work throughout these recent hard times, landing cameo roles on the popular TV shows during the mid-70s, such as Columbo, Hawaii Five-0, and McCloud. And he also made several regular appearances on the popular game show Match Game during the same period. There is no doubt, however, his career has begun to wane over the past few years, no longer being nominated for awards, no longer winning awards for his stage performances. Has it taken a toll on his mental state? Are these the reasons for his alcoholism and his erratic behavior? This all brings me back to our present night in question, just an ordinary night in 1976 for most. But for our struggling actor, Mr. Kierney, it might be anything but. What's going through his head at the moment, we cannot be sure for certain. Loneliness might have struck him as he makes a phone call to his ex-wife, Sherilyn Johns, asking if she would like to come by his apartment for some drinks and conversation. She declined, however, and her refusal, did that leave him in a state of melancholy? No one's for certain. He may have had those drinks alone, and with his documented alcoholism, it may explain the horrific events that transpired in the middle of the night. Not much is known about his state of mind or his level of inebriation. What's for certain is that he lit a cigarette, then lay down on the couch and fell asleep, the cigarette still lit in his hand. Not long after he was awoken by the flames that engulfed him and the couch. The material for which the couch was made was naga hide. So not only were he and the couch instantly consumed by the fire, the entire apartment quickly was inflamed. His charred remains were found the next morning. He had made it to the floor, and his arm was outreached, stretching for the front door. He could only be identified by his dental records and a ring that bared the initials of the family crest. A tragic accident. That much is for certain. All the other particulars will never be known, such as his thoughts or mental state that night. If his senses were dulled because he had too much to drink, causing him to pass out with a lit cigarette in his hand and preventing him from quickly escaping the fire. Just another tragedy. The mental toll can be costly when your life and career are accustomed to and lived under the lights. And some pay that toll on the dark side of Hollywood. The Dark Side of Hollywood, Part 11, Hollywood's Retreat, written by the Prowler. I take you on a journey up the California coast, northward, where the beaches and ocean horizons blend and fade into the forest regions of the beautiful state. I bring you to the Sequoia Inn, a lavish hotel nestled deep in the Northern California woods, where Hollywood's elite come to escape the city. The luxury inn and its secluded cottages are owned by a few of Hollywood's elite as well. Frank Sinatra and Gene Kelly bought the property after they filmed On the Town. They were later joined by Jimmy Stewart and Ann Sheridan when extra capital was needed to clear a few more acres for additional cottages. The famous quartet formed a strong partnership and hired the best, competent management and staff their money could buy. The property was not exclusively for the rich, but was a bit pricey to stay there. It, of course, attracted Hollywood's finest to get away and relax, which also attracted the tourists who could afford the price tag. The Sequoia Inn was always packed, always busy with the hopes of who would be seen walking through the lobby or lounging by the pool and seen eating at its gourmet restaurant. There is, however, another side to the lavish inn that's tucked away in the forests of Northern California. Behind its exteriors, behind the doors of the immaculate rooms, a dark side is present. But of course there is. You wouldn't be here if there wasn't. There are many rumors about the inn and the things that go on behind its walls. The property is not just supposedly haunted, but it is also rumored to be cursed, thanks in part to the supposed cult that meets there bi-monthly. Its ranks swelled with the Hollywood elite. Rumors persist that they meet at the secluded inn to pay homage to their dark lord for gifting them the talent to make it big. They sold their souls, and now they must pay a sacrifice. Of course, these are all rumors. There's no actual proof of such a cult existing that's run by the who's who of Hollywood. There is, however, a long history of the property being haunted, and it dates back to the demise of its original owner, famed silent movie director Bill "Tex" LaRue, who died on the grounds of the property from a horrific accident. The story goes that during filming of Mr. LaRue's final picture, The Lonely Woodsman, which was to star Charlie Chaplin, A rogue tree was cut improperly that was to be used in a scene, and instead of falling in the planned direction, it fell oppositely and crushed Mr. LaRue, killing him instantly. The movie was scrapped and never finished, and shortly after the accident, it was said you could see Mr. LaRue's ghostly spirit walk the grounds of the property, still barking his directions as though he was still on the set. His ghost is still said to be seen now, still walking and still directing. Another famous incident at the Sequoia Inn was the disappearance of Frank Mertz, an up-and-coming actor in the style of James Dean, contracted by Columbia Pictures and set to star in From Here to Eternity. Well, rumor has it one night, during Mr. Mertz's stay, he went down to the restaurant and began to drink heavily. He became belligerent and started to accost the waitstaff. After many attempts to calm Mr. Mertz down, he finally submissed. But as he began to settle, he saw in the back of the room, sitting in the corner booth, singer Frank Sinatra, and also one of the proprietors of the establishment, his wife, actress Ava Gardner, and legendary actor Julian Craven. Mr. Mertz is said to have quickly gotten up from his table and marched straight towards the booth that sat the legendary stars. He made a fool of himself, insulting the three stars, first ridiculing Mr. Sinatra's declining singing voice and insulting the Sequoia Inn. Then the young Mertz insulted his wife, Miss Gardner, bad-mouthing her acting skills and her personal life. What happened next, no one really knows. There aren't too many accounts of the confrontation, for the people in the restaurant have been too afraid to come forward. There have been a few leaked rumors here and there, however. Most recall that in the middle of Mr. Mertz's tirade of insults, Sinatra lost his temper and smashed his glass against Mertz's temple. Then he and Mr. Craven began to beat him on the spot. It is said the guests that were in the restaurant looked on in terror and were eventually ushered out by the staff. What happened next, no one truly knows, but Mr. Mertz was never seen or heard from again. Some believe Mr. Sinatra's mob connections took care of the matter and made him disappear. Others believe both Sinatra and Craven beat Mertz to death and then called upon the famed Hollywood fixer, Eddie Tremantle, and he took care of the matter. Either way, it is believed Mr. Mertz didn't make it out of the Sequoia Inn alive. Then there's the matter of the supposed cult that meets in the furthest-most cottage located in the back of the property, Cottage 66. The cult of the Silver Devil, which supposedly consists of the most famous actors and actresses in the industry, are rumored to meet inside Cottage 66 and perform sacrifices to their dark lord, to whom they owe their careers. They might be just rumors, but eyewitnesses claim people that traverse near the cottage are never seen again, such as several of the hotel's waitstaff and even some guests, which would explain the several missing persons reports and constant job openings at the Sequoia Inn. So the question is, do any of the things you've learned scare you enough to keep you from staying at the Hollywood Elite's Getaway Retreat? Or have you already booked your tickets? Is the thrill of seeing a movie star out and about so captivating and intriguing that you would risk your mental state, your senses, just to be frightened and tormented by spirits? Or what about your physical safety you're putting at risk by putting yourself near a bloodthirsty cult? I guess the price to pay is worth it, just to get close to stardom, but be prepared to pay that price when the bill comes on the dark side of Hollywood. I would like to give a heartfelt thank you to the special friends of the channel for your overwhelming generosity. If you would like to support the channel, the link is below in the description. Also, please send me your stories and poems to duchessofdarkness27@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram at duchess.ofdarkness and Twitter at duchessofdarkn2. I want to thank all my listeners for your kindness, your encouragement, and your support. It means the world to me. Thank you for joining me. Until next time.